This video is sponsored by Kamikoto. Stick around to find out how you can save $50 on Japanese steel knives.
Guys, we messed up. This normally is a no drama channel, but even if you plan things really well, shit can still hit the fan, and it definitely did when we made landfall in Martinique.
We're back in civilization. We made it to Martinique.
We are now 10 miles off the coast, aren't we, Homie?
Something's happening. Come here. I need light. Here, now.
We just had so much going on in this moment that picking up a camera was like the last thought on our minds. Thank God we had the action cam, and that was just running all the time. This footage is mainly pretty dark, hectic, and mainly audio of us freaking out, which does convey pretty well how we felt at the time.
Prop. It's in the prop. Land in the prop. We need to drop. Drop.
Leading up to this moment in time where things started to unravel pretty fast, we made a couple of dumb decisions in a row. Let me just paint you a picture here so you can understand the mental state that we were in when we arrived in Saint Anne on Martinique.
My hands are tied, and you resonate inside my bones. Don't know why I'm incapable, why you're unstoppable.
We have 3 grown-ups and a 6-month-old baby on a 36-foot sailboat. We have been on the Atlantic for 19 days, and then we finally see land. But before we make landfall, we will be sailing for at least 24 more hours. You know, it's not only the amount of people in a small space for 3 weeks with no way out, and then those last miles that seem to last forever, making everybody so anxious to arrive. A lot can happen in 3 weeks on the open ocean, and the build-up of all those big and little things just exhausted us.
Lines, so many lines. Kan je papa toelopen?
And that is what led us to making mistakes.
But wait! There's more!
But to fully understand that, we do need to journey back a little bit more.
And the anchor's up.
The anchor's up. We zijn happy. Captain is steering. Whee!
Together with Sailing Sunday, we are the very last of the group to leave Mandy. Predictions tell us that we're gonna have very light winds the first days, and we figured that we should give all the big boys a head start. We lightweights should have no problem catching up, right?
Love might get lost, but then it's found again. And friends might be friends until the very end. But I've seen them come and I've seen them go a million times before. That's why I'm holding on, 'cause I've got you, baby.
When we left Cape Verde 20 days ago, we decided to go quite far south because there was this massive dead patch on the middle of the Atlantic, and we didn't really want to motor through it because we just don't have enough fuel and we can't motor for days and days on end. Plus, we didn't want to use all of our fuel right at the start. There was another problem though, and that was that there was not really a lot of wind. Definitely not enough wind to sail downwind comfortably. And taking this southern route did give us a little bit of a better angle to the wind, but we still only averaged about 3.5 knots for the first week or so. And this is very slow on a sailboat. So it's 5:30 at the moment. We haven't been doing a lot of speed. Last night we did lots of 3.5 knots, sometimes even went down to 2.5, so we're slowly progressing. We did 105 miles in the first 24 hours, so it's better than we expected with the speeds we've done, but it's not crazy. So you can imagine we are just out there bobbing and wobbling around on the sailboat, not really making a lot of distance, and also half of the time not really going in the right direction. And we got some big rain clouds in front of us, like the entire day already. I don't know if we can avoid it. We could go a bit more, even more south, almost southeast. And we're going very much more south than we actually want to, but we've been going dead downwind, and we just kept that course. We want to go south anyway, but not really straight south because, you know, it's kind of a detour then, especially at this speed. We want to go west around the rain clouds. We have to go straight west, which we also don't per se want to do because there's a massive dead patch coming up in the coming week. and then we'll head straight for it. So we'll end up in trouble later. But contemplating what to do. For now we decided to just keep going south. Just imagine you're looking at navionics and the numbers are just not really changing. The miles are not really going down. The days are really kind of staying the same. Up until a moment where the days actually start to go up. And I think that at some point we had about 35 days left to sail when we were already on the way for like 5 days. And that is a really long time for something that should only take about 3 weeks.
1966 miles if you go straight line. It's a long way.
So you can imagine it was quite hard to keep up morale. And we all had our moments of, oh my God, what did we do? Now we're stuck in this boat and there's no way back. So yeah, that was pretty tough. We left Cape Verde with about 7 other boats, and the fact that all of our friends decided to take different decisions, like everybody kind of took a different route because everybody had a different idea of what to do best, and of course everybody had different boats, so they also could do different routes. And the fact that they were kind of leaving us behind because they were so much faster was really not helping us. We knew we were going to be the last boat in line because we were the smallest, and we couldn't motor through the dead patches, not at the speed that they could, and definitely not because we didn't have enough fuel. But it was really tough to just see our friends disappear into the distance. And every time we'd chat with each other on the sat phone, we would give each other coordinates, and then we would put these in avionics, and we could just see that everybody was kind of like spread out over the ocean, and everybody was definitely quite far in front of us. At some point it was like a couple 100 miles, and this means several more days. So that was not really good for morale in the first few weeks. Next to that, we had not that much wind, but we did have quite a strong side swell, and this made for a pretty uncomfortable ride.
How are you doing today? Feeling better after you took your pill?
Yeah, I take a seasickness pill every 1.5 to 2 days, and it seems to work for me because I can eat. I'm fine. I'm a bit tired.
Normally this is uncomfortable, but not so bad. But it made me quite seasick for the first week. And also this normally is not such a big issue, but because I had Levi, I couldn't just lie down and breathe through it. So I had to take care of him, and I had to be down below most of the time actually, because it's just more spacious down there and safer. So that took me a lot of energy and willpower, a lot more than I expected it to.
Daar is je bad eens. Daar is je bad eens. Het is allemaal niet zo erg. Droog alleen even af, ja?
On top of that, we had a lot of thunderstorms in the first 2 weeks. So our night shifts were pretty busy avoiding storm clouds.
So we got big thunderstorms all around us. It is 12:30 at night now, and since the sun started to go down, we started to see bad weather. We got messages from all of our friends who are a bit further west and a bit more further north. They all ended up in thunderstorms and had them all around them, like closer than we did.
And at some point when we tried to avoid a storm cloud by engine because we weren't able to sail away from it, we noticed that the engine was mainly vibrating a lot and giving us only like half a knot of boat speed. So we realized something was up. And in Cape Verde, we got lots of these barnacles and mussel clamps kind of thing on the bottom and also on the prop. And most of our friends took these all off before they left. And for some reason we didn't do it. This made our prop the perfect place for all the sargassum to just kind of stuck on it. And we just ended up having a giant bowl of seaweed instead of an actual prop. Having a non-functional engine and not being able to maneuver your way out of a sticky situation made us all feel really uncomfortable. And on top of that, after a week, we got a really heavy storm at nightfall that actually ripped up our Genoa.
Hi,
Hi.
we've had a great night.
Yeah, how was it?
It was nice. Some pretty heavy rain. Mandy got a fish slapped in the face.
That was good, yeah.
We had another fish in the cockpit that's left all its scales around. It's a nice trade wind sailing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's easy Atlantic trade wind.
that's it.
How's Mandy?
Pretty shit. It got really cold, so I had to go inside. I decided to go sleep next to Levi in case he wakes up. The freaking roller coaster in the forward cabin. It's amazing that he's still asleep. And now I'm really seasick, so feeling great.
So yesterday after sunset we hit the squall line. Everything was super calm and we're just like bobbing along, and then a few hours in, sitting in the cockpit, we just hear wind from stern whistling, and I think that's when I realized, alright, that's it, we're on the squall line, and we got caught in a big one. And then the winds picked up more. The rain that came down was mental though. Flying fish everywhere. We're all a bit beat. Andy got 1 hour of sleep tonight. I got like maybe 2-3 hours.
You can see the night was pretty rough. In the morning we just slept through. I looked out the window and I saw a big rip in the Genoa, but we have a second one under the bed, so we pulled that one out. Now we just switched over the Genoa sails. It worked quite well. We just pulled down the sail, got the Genoa sheet tight and put the lazy Genoa sheet on it also, and then we just pulled it down on deck and then put it in the forward hatch. But yeah, now the Genoa is in the V-berth and this boat looks very, very unorganized.
And that is where it has been living ever since. We had a very tiny bed that was very messy, and we spent most of the time in there with Levi, so 2 people in half a bed. Hey guys, I'd like to take a second and thank this week's sponsor, Kamikoto knives. We have been using their Japanese steel knives for over a year now and are still super stoked to have them. When we first got them, we were so impressed.
Jesus! Honestly, they're really, they're actually really amazing. Look at that.
Crazy sharp.
And after a year, we still are. We have literally been using them every day and have no need for other knives anymore. Especially this 5-inch so-called utility knife is super handy and I grab it every day. And then we have this amazing big slicing knife, which I just love for chopping up veggies and herbs and basically anything. But they now send us this amazing thing. Look at this. This is a heavy duty cleaver. And I mean, this thing is a weapon. And the ease with which it cuts through anything. There was no effort at all. I hit it way too hard. No effort at all. These knives are actually used by Michelin star chefs all over the world, and they are made with a high quality Japanese steel using traditional techniques. And each knife is individually inspected and comes with a lifetime guarantee. And as you can see, they come in these beautiful heavy duty ashwood box, which makes a great present, especially with the holidays coming soon. So if you want your own set of steel beauties, Kamikoto is now running a massive Black Friday sale and offers you an extra $50 off on any purchase with the discount code LittleThings. So go to kamikoto.com/littlethings and get your own box of razor sharp Japanese steel knives. Now back to that rip Genoa. After this incident with the Genoa ripping up, we decided it was really time to get into the water and clean the prop. We had kind of been putting it off because it was just too swelly, and being under a boat in the middle of the ocean when it's bobbing around a lot, it's just not a very comfortable thought.
What just happened?
I think we caught a fish. Now we have light around the prop at the keel.
Even better than just a dirty prop.
Yeah.
But after this we had no choice. So Alex went into the water, but we were not able to really stop the boat. We kept doing 1 to 1.5 knots. And this might seem slow when you're on a boat, but when you are in the water under a boat and the water is rushing past you at 1 to 1.5 knots, that is insane. Like, you have to hold on so well and it's so hard to move. And apart from that, if you let go of the boat, you just can't keep up swimming. So that was very stressful for me on the boat, knowing Alex was down below there. And it was really tough on Alex because he had to be down below in the water.
You don't see well underwater. The goggles give you tunnel vision and you're not aware of your surroundings. The floating line could wrap around me, the fins could get stuck. In the moment, you're in it, and you rise to the occasion. But in hindsight, looking at the footage, telling the story gives me shivers.
Fucking hard. Jesus.
This is not a controlled environment. It's not a calm arena. There's no scuba tank or dive compressor and no safe game. But it's part of the adventure. The most important thing is to know when to stop. It's okay enough, and that's one last check and I'm done.
That was tough.
How did that go, babe?
Oh man, that was intense.
It took really long, huh?
Yeah, I'm cold.
It works again.
We'll give it a test in a minute.
It's a tough life for
Alright, I'm gonna leave all of this
and shower.
to you.
Yeah, do that.
On top of that, there were all these small things that kind of exhausted us. Like, the constant swell knocked us off our feet pretty often, so it was really hard to stay steady. Alex actually got knocked off the couch twice when he was sleeping because some big wave hit us sideways. Also, let's be honest, having crew on board for 1.5 months in your own personal space, that is very challenging for everyone. Even if you get along really well, everybody was also mentally exhausted from sharing the space and, you know, making sure nobody got on each other's toes. And I think that all of this would have been a fun and interesting experience if we hadn't had a baby on board, because that just really put a strain on everybody. He needed to be fed, entertained, held, diaper changed.
Oh God.
So bad.
And we also had to do a lot of sail changes and repairs, and there's always somebody that then had to take care of Levi.
All right.
Ready? Fixed it?
Yeah.
You fixed the rib?
No.
Too high?
It's too high. It'll be okay.
And that puts a real strain on everybody because people have to do things alone. Things just have to go fast because he gets impatient.
It's like this phase where he can't do anything, but he wants to do everything. And then everything makes him angry because he can't reach stuff.
It mainly put an enormous strain on me because I was, of course, his main caregiver, and I spent most of my time with him, and I still did everything else. So I cooked, I cleaned, I did my shifts, I helped with sail changes, and I just was not prepared for how mentally and physically exhausting this was. And honestly, I wouldn't do it again with such a small child, knowing what I know now. So you can imagine that by the time that we arrived, after 20 days of sailing, we were all pretty exhausted, not just physically, but also mentally. And that is when mistakes start to happen.
Something's happening. Come here.
The first mistake we made here was that for some dumb reason, we decided to leave the fishing line out.
You caught a fish?
Yeah. 27 miles off Martinique. I think it's the last Atlantic fish we'll capture.
Oh no, it popped off. It freed itself. I think that was our last chance, huh?
We just thought it would be awesome to arrive with a fish and then just celebrate with our friends. And that's why we left it in. We thought we could just reel it in last minute. But when we rounded the corner of Martinique, there were lots of lobster pots because it's quite shallow there. And we knew this, so I was on lookout on the bow. It started to get dark already and the sun was setting, so it was very hard to see, so I was really guiding Alex and very focused on that. And of course, we then totally forgot about the fishing line. And seeing land, maneuvering around lobster pots and like kind of hurrying and having to react fast was such a difference to being out there on the open ocean for 3 weeks where we kind of could react slow to things and had our time and we could take our time. We were just a little bit overwhelmed and we totally forgot about our anchoring routine. So we did not take in any lines, we didn't clean up our crap, and it was just pretty dumb. But then we also started to hurry because the sun was setting and we're like, oh my God, we're going to arrive in a dark anchorage, and the anchorage is pretty big, but it's also really full.
So now we're kind of rushing it. We got into deeper waters along the ridge up north to St. Anne, but we have to get into shallow waters in about 20 minutes, and the sun just set. It's gonna get dark in probably 25, so we'll try to make it to the anchorage and push it a bit, but it seems like the prop is fouled again, which is annoying. So let's see tomorrow what the damage is and just get there now.
And because we had not one, but 2 broken outboards on board, we wanted to get quite close to land because we didn't want to have to row for like 3 miles to check in the next day. So that was mistake number 3, hurrying into a dark, full and unknown anchorage. And then we hit our first bump. We were in the anchorage, we found a spot, and we decided to drop anchor.
Hey Alex, there's a big spot near us. I can take you there if you want. Yeah, that would be amazing.
And whilst going in reverse, you remember the fishing line being out?
I need light here on board. What's happening here?
Oh, what is that? The fishing line, guys! The fishing line!
Yeah, that got caught in a prop, of course. And in itself, this was not just super big issue because the engine is strong enough to kind of snap the line as long as it's not wrapped around it like a million times. But the anchor wasn't holding. We just kept dragging like crazy. So when we tried to pick up anchor again, the fishing line was actually also attached around the anchor by now. It was everywhere. It went around the keel, it went around the anchor, it was in our prop.
Get the general sheet in. Prop. Prop. It's in the prop. Land in the prop. We need to drop. Drop, drop, drop. Sunday!
He realizes that the engine is actually not working anymore. He can't maneuver.
Baby down. Get on the wheel.
We have forgotten to take in our second extra Genoa line. We used this one when we had the Genoa on the pole because the line is really long. This line was hanging in the water. So now we have a Genoa line on our prop, our anchor is dragging, and we're drifting quite quickly towards a massive catamaran. The bad thing about this is that this is a brand new Genoa line, right? So it's pretty tough to cut this one. We have no rope cut or nothing. But somehow Alex just has this clear moment and he just full throttles it and it snaps. Like, we got so lucky here. Only a couple meters before we hit a catamaran. So after this, we decided to just take off, go back out to the end of the anchorage and try and re-anchor there where there is no risk of us hitting anything when we drag.
So a few moments ago, you heard Ryan and Brittany from Sailing Sunday. They came out with the dinghy and pulled up next to us because they have found the perfect anchor spot for us. So they led the way, but little did they know that we ran into trouble. While they were going into the distance, instead of turning around, they thought, they found the perfect anchor spot for them. Little did they know that we really needed their help more than anything. So we're just yelling, Sunday, please come back. They don't come back.
Sunday!
The dinghy engine too loud for them to hear us. They would have been our saving grace. They would have been a bumper, at least, to just like dock us next to the catamaran, so I wouldn't need to push the throttle. But since they were gone, I took that risk and I thought it's all or nothing now. Line, please snap, please be bad quality Genoa sheet. So I pushed the throttle hard forward and the engine yanked up, snapped the line, and we were free. Halfway free.
So we were kind of racing through the anchorage in the pitch black dark, all very stressed, wondering if we fucked up our engine, and the anchor was still out.
Yes?
I have to take the anchor in, yeah?
Yep.
That delta anchor always holds. For some reason, it didn't. Sandy bottom, but still, it didn't hold. So we were dragging that anchor around in a crowded anchorage, pitch dark. Really dumb idea to go in and not stay out. So we count our blessings that this anchor did not hold or get tangled in other anchors or chain that was just like we were just going in between the boats and not a single chain got stuck on that anchor. I don't know how that happened. Karma. Maybe karma. That was a moment.
So I picked that back up. We kind of sort ourselves, try and re-anchor, and that worked. But that was the most unpleasant way of anchoring we've ever had. And that after 20 days of sailing, where everybody was dead tired and just wanted to sit down and have a drink in a calm anchorage where we weren't moving. And that is when Sailing Sunday came by and we just chilled and kind of tried to forget everything that happened.
And I ate all mine. But I don't eat mine.
Is it up?
Yes, and you know what's wrapped around the anchor?
What?
A fishing line.
Okay.